Well, I mean, to be fair, it didn't go too badly. We got seats, Labour, but, generally, just a bit disappointed.
It went badly because Theresa May kind of tricked the nation in a strong, stable government and had the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, as a kind of like a coalition of chaos, but then ended up being a coalition of chaos herself.
They're all for money, that's what it is.
I think
we voted for Corbyn, but
I think I'm very angered by the fact that there's no accessibility for young, and we are all York University students, University of York students,
and Rachel Maskell
and we are we're intellectual young beings, but I'm still confused by who I should be voting for.
Although Corbyn may not be able to achieve all of his goals, he still has the right mindset of like the people, and he'll still try and get a best he can than like Theresa May. For the many,
I don't know,
I
don't know, this is like the first election that I've truly been involved in. Like Brexit, I was kind of on board, but like as a 19-year-old, you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've been 18 for 2 years and I voted 3 times. That seems a bit ridiculous.
I don't know, what was the election? Oh, I had sex in the fields of wheat.
Any thoughts and feelings on the general election?
We're not British.
We're not
but we
really.
Think it turned down really bad.
It's a car, sorry. Don't die.
Okay. What country are you from?
Norway.
Norway.
We don't care much for Theresa May. I think that if we could vote, we would vote Labour. Yeah, we like Jeremy Corbyn better.
What's the political landscape in Norway like?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Much better.
Yeah. No, it's
Jeremy Corbyn here is he's considered really radical.
Yeah,
Normally he would be like a standard politician.
no problem.
Yeah.
It's like
His
he's
thoughts
just
in Norway
right.
are
He's just
They're
right.
like basic human rights.
Yeah.
Any comments on the general election? What? Any comments on the general election? Any thoughts and feelings?
I'm very glad that Labour did as good as they did.
You were optimistic then, no?
Labour in my heart.
Grand scheme, the best Labour could have hoped for. All good. The Tories don't have a majority. Unfortunately, it means you have to bring in the Northern Ireland people.
Who's the DUP?
I honestly, I've never been to Northern Ireland. I wasn't sure it existed until this election.
I've never heard of them.
Who are they?
Until yesterday, I've never heard of them, mate.
Yep, and now they're the biggest issue in British politics. I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. But grand scheme, it's the best Labour could have hoped for. Corbyn's turning it round. Hopefully this means he can win the support of his party and can go on from there.
Any comments about the general election, guys?
It's shit. As a Conservative voter, as a Conservative member, I'm of the opinion that May should resign.
Right, okay.
She has led us into.
Labour should have won May.
That's not an answer.
Yeah, please.
We know. We had an 18 majority. She led us into election, believing that she would increase her majority, and it has gone, quite frankly, terribly. I live in a constituency which was safe Conservatives, so for me it doesn't matter. But for the population that has voted Conservative, I'm of the opinion that she should resign. I don't know who should step up to it, because quite frankly, Boris Johnson should. He should not. He is a clown. He is basically the British Trump, as far as I'm aware.
That's exactly what I said. I said if we had Donald Trump over here and Boris Johnson over here, oh my God, that's it, game over.
This is coming from a Conservative, so you're hearing it from me.
Yeah.
So quite frankly, we have no viable alternative at the moment.
I'm a Labour voter.
A Labour voter?
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say you're disappointed, or are you quite happy?
I'm very happy because I think it consolidates his position at the head of the Labour Party, and I think it delegitimises the authority of Theresa May to be able to negotiate a Brexit, because she needs a mandate, and a mandate requires a majority. So it calls impartiality between the parties, or preferably a snap election. Well, not a snap election, but if she can't formulate a Queen's speech, which she will be able to, unfortunately.
Now I know why you looked at me.
But she unfortunately will be able to cause a Queen's speech. But I think she can be hijacked by 3 votes if she's only got like a 2 majority. So, I mean, effectively, hard Brexiteers might be disappointed. Soft Brexiteers, Liberal Conservatives at the DUP, she can be hijacked to all sides. New election, up Corbyn.
Any comments about the election? Thoughts and
I'm
feelings?
really sad.
Very sad.
I think that, like, to be honest, she's messed herself over, and any gains that we got are incredible.
We're just ranting now, but
It's just us, our conversation generally.
It's thoughts and feelings. I just want to hear what people are feeling, you know? That's all I'm interested in.
Anger.
generally anger.
But I'm quite happy that she's made a tit of herself.
Like, also sadness,
I think there's going to be another election in autumn, and then it's going to be like freaking Labour, Socialist Utopia, Jeremy Corbyn, and that's my dream. I don't believe it, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and pray, hope and pray. Every 11/11, I'm going to pray for Jeremy Corbyn.
Any comments about the election?
Yeah,
vote Labour. Jeremy Corbyn is an absolute G. Genuinely, just vote Labour.
Yeah.
Just that's all that matters. We don't like Theresa May, do we? We don't like Theresa May.
I like her.
Why do you like Theresa May? No, we don't. She's no. Just vote Labour. That's all I'm going to say.
Are you happy with the result? Upset? Do you feel indifferent?
Indifferent because it was just a complete waste. Well, no, it wasn't a complete waste of time. But it was just a mess.
It was a mess.
It's a mess. It's a complete mess. I just last night young people in York were partying because Jeremy Corbyn had won. The Labour Party has not won. First of all, people can't recognise that. Really worries me about people's ability to recognise the decision that actually comes from an election. Massive tactical voting, young people coming out, but I think Jeremy Corbyn mobilised young people to vote Labour. Whether or not he's right or wrong, or you can question his manifesto, but to me there's a mixed bag of the fact that Middle England, who voted Remain, can't stomach Theresa May, and so they didn't turn out. So that's why you ended up with Conservative seats in the south going to Labour, whereas you had seats like Stockton South and Mansfield turning blue. Well, how is that possible in the same election? Because it's a mess. It was a mess from the start.
Thank you. Any comments on the general election? I've just got my nice little mic here.
No, that is not a mic. No, it's not even a mic. Let's go.
I would probably be sat on the fence somewhat. Thoroughly disappointed with Theresa May. Yeah. Thoroughly disappointed. Regardless, as a politician, thoroughly disappointed. Mm-hmm. And as a person, thoroughly disappointed. And as for the other, who is in charge of the Labour Party, something of a Father Christmas figure.
Yeah, I have a little bit actually, yeah. I think Labour should be brought in, yeah. As for the rest, I think they're all fucking gangsters that come in suits. Simple as that. They all piss in the same pot basically, you know what I mean? As a homeless man, I think the only good thing, I don't hear so much about it, but I try and keep on top of it. But I think Jeremy Corbyn is a top man. He's the man for Labour, isn't he? Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. As far as I know, he's like all for helping homeless people and like. I mean, so if that's the case, I mean, if I would, I'd vote for him. Like, I mean. Yeah. But other than that, that's all I can say. But I just hope he does. I just hope he does what he says. But anyway, yeah. Take care. God bless.
Any comments on the general election, guys?
Bullshit.
Any comments on the general election?
No thanks. That looks like a hedgehog.
One word, a million, however you like.
Downfall.
Jeremy Corbyn, yeah, he's overrules everyone. He's a boss man thing, you know. He's a boss. Vote Jeremy Corbyn. Vote. Yeah, just vote him.
Theresa May is a waste man. Her policies are all over the place. She's awful. She runs through fields of wheat.
Yeah. I wanted the Green Party to win, yeah?
Yeah.
Legalising cannabis.
Yeah!
Legalise weed!
Legalise cannabis. Legalise it, yeah!
Legalise it! Yeah, is this going on Snapchat?
Yeah, probably. We'll go somewhere.
I'd say that I think I was very for Labour.
Mm-hmm.
However, the fact that we're now in a coalition for the Conservative government has meant that we're actually in a very uncertain period, which has not actually made me very happy.
Yep.
Because I think we're now in a position where we can't actually do anything about it. So I just want to say that I really like the fact that Jeremy Corbyn's well, but I think I'm upset that Labour hasn't done well enough to make a difference, basically.
You know, a lot of the people I've spoken to have felt very deflated, but I think actually when you look at what has been achieved over the past 8 weeks, we're talking 8 weeks of snap election, right? We've seen youth turnout unprecedented. We've seen pollsters scratching their heads and saying, I don't know what the fuck's going on, live on TV on election night. We've seen those rebel parliamentary Labour Party and the PLP, the ones who challenged Corbyn and said, you cannot be electable, you cannot lead us into an election, apologising live on national TV, right? What I'm saying is their attack line, right, was coalition of chaos, right, was terrorist sympathisers. Now, Theresa May is propping herself up with the DUP, who are anti-abortion, anti-gay rights, and let's not forget that the leader of the Scottish Tories, Ruth, she's a Protestant about to marry a Catholic woman, right? So there's already all these internal divisions in the Tory party that are going to be. She's a goner. She's a goner, right? Do you know what? Hung Parliament, I'm more happy in a way, because for once the media are hating on Theresa May, right? And that gives us time to prepare, like all those conversations everyone had with their grandpa, their grandparents, with their colleagues, with their friends, right? They've got to now tell them to have those conversations, because we're going to have another election within this year, and we need to be ready for it. We need to get ready for government. That's the way that's what's happening right now. Everyone is shook. The establishment is shook, because suddenly young people are engaging in politics. To do with that, if anything, I think there's been a cult of personality that in some way is necessary, but in the same way damaging. The focus is on the manifesto, and it was interesting that things turned around really for the Labour Party when that manifesto was leaked. Okay. Yeah, like, because suddenly everyone was like, actually, that's fucking great. I can actually get on board with this, and people believed in it. And for once again, we have hope. We have the audacity to have hope. Right? Like,
do you think you'll fall through?
Listen, man. Like, I think he'll do what it takes to create change in this country. I think he's willing to make compromises. We've seen that on Trident. I'm not a fan. I don't believe in Trident, but he's willing to make compromises. He's willing to work with people. He's willing to make a change in this country and understand and not be shackled by the limits of what we consider the paradigm that we live in, with the media and the way the media works, with the parliamentary system, with the way first past the post works. We need to break beyond that. The first step of that is democratising the media, right?
Yes,
it's
sir.
saying
Yes,
that,
sir.
like, you know, the Sun, the Daily Mail, all of that. We need to say, look, the public do not believe this shit anymore. That Rupert Murdoch doesn't control us anymore. Paul Dacra doesn't control us anymore. That's what we need to be saying. We need to democratise the media.
And that's all I'm interested in, yeah. These young people that are reading the papers and then they're going online on the Facebook and the Twitter and they're seeing something entirely different. Something
Exactly.
completely different. It's diametrically opposed,
That's the thing, like,
and it's blowing the
internet
shit
is
apart.
democracy of the media. You can say what the fuck you want on it.
Thank you. You know, do you know what? Big shout out to the Vara Media. I'm a big fan of their work. The Canary, I think some of their shit is disputable, but a little debatable, like, you know, in terms of quality journalism. But do you know what? The Canary, in the run-up to the actual polling day, had more visits per day than the Times website. Right, wow. We're talking about like ground level shit about anyone. Yeah, you've got something to say about austerity, we'll fucking publish it. Democratizing the media is the way that, you know, we're going to create change in this country. Yeah.
How do you want to do it? Government media or liberal media?
No, those. Nothing to do is grounds up. What won this election, yeah? What won this election was people knocking on doors, was people having conversations in workplace. And politics used to be a thing in this country where it's like you kept it to yourself.
Yeah,
you went into work and you were like, okay, I'm going to vote this way or whatever. Yeah. Like, that you don't discuss it with anyone, right? What needs to happen is that, like, we need to say, you know, it's okay to talk about how you feel about what's going on in our country. And we need to start having these debates. Honestly, man, like, if you look at the popular vote share, what is it, 2% difference? all that is a few more people talking to a few more people about the dementia tax, about, you know, public services, the NHS,
Like-
and food banks and whatever.
More than 8 weeks, isn't it?
With more than 8 weeks.
With more than 8 weeks.
With more than 8 weeks.
Right, wait, he taught me bad.
That's what I've got to say.